Is there something that you want to say to someone, but you just don't know how to say it? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you how. I'm Dr. Keisha Moore, founder of Life in Focus Coaching. And today I'm going to talk with you about how to have a problem-solving conversation. There are three types of problem-solving conversations: descriptive, speculative, and action. And in order to effectively solve a problem in a relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a professional relationship, you will want to go through all three phases. So today I'm going to show you how you can begin a problem-solving conversation in a way that's productive. How do you begin with a descriptive conversation? So, descriptive conversations are where you describe the presenting problem. It's where you say, where are we? Or where am I? And you want to make sure that in your descriptive conversation, you avoid blaming and you don't put the other person on the defensive. Because if they're on the defensive, it's going to immediately shut down. The conversation isn't going anywhere and you're not going to be able to proceed to the other two conversations. So let me share with you some tips about how you can have a productive, descriptive conversation that's going to make sure that you move forward, that the conversation moves forward, and that you're not stuck. So here they go. My first tip on how to have a productive, descriptive, problem-solving conversation is to be authentic. If you're feeling nervous about the conversation, say so. This is not the time to try to put on a front and pretend to be and feel something that you're not. Actually, your vulnerability and your authenticity will draw the other person to you. We're all human. We all get nervous. We all get frustrated. We all get embarrassed. And being able to own up to those feelings and acknowledge them in yourself lowers the other person's defensiveness and invites them to share their authentic self with you as well. So that's the first tip. Let me share with you the second tip about how to have a productive, descriptive conversation. The second thing you want to do is make sure you separate fact from fiction. You might know what happened, but you do not know why it happened. You are not a mind reader. Don't get into the realm of giving an interpretation of what happened. You don't respect me. You don't care about me. You don't value my time. Those are things that you do not know are true. So I do know you were late. I do know you stepped on my foot. I do know you didn't show up for a very important dinner. Those are the facts. And so when you're having a descriptive conversation, you want to make sure that you focus on the facts and not your interpretation of the facts. The third point that you want to consider in a productive descriptive conversation is to challenge your own assumptions. We've already been talking in our previous videos about stories and how we make stories that go on in our head about not just what happened, but why it happened. And I've shared with you why those stories are often incorrect and problematic, right? Because we have a tendency of assuming that when somebody else does something, it says something about their character and not the situation. So I want you to challenge the assumptions that you're bringing to this conversation. Actually look for counterfactuals, for things that contradict the assumptions that you may have. So if I believe that you're always late because you don't value my time, I'm going to look for what are the times in which you haven't been late. Or what are the ways in which you show me that you do value and respect my time? So in preparing myself to have a descriptive conversation, I'm going to actively challenge the assumptions that I'm coming to this conversation with. So the fourth thing that I want you to do in order to have a productive descriptive conversation is to use I statements. We've all heard this before. You should always use I statements. and we know it to be true, but so many of us just don't. And especially when we're having difficult conversations, when our emotions are involved and we get extra hype or frustrated, we tend to stop using I statements. But this is the time when you really do want to use them. I statements are really helpful because, one, it communicates to you and to the other person that you understand what you are sharing is only your perspective. It's not reality. It's reality as you see it. And you need to remind yourself that what you're saying is only your version of reality, which means that the other person has another version of reality that is just as legitimate as what you're saying. So when you use I statements, you own your perspective, your feelings, your thoughts. You realize that they are under your control and you're sharing them with this other person, and you invite them to share their own perspectives about the situation with you. And you can see that those two perspectives don't have to be the same, but they can both be valued. So it's really important when you're sharing that you are conscious of the fact of all the things I'm saying is reality as I know it, not reality with a big R. So the next thing you want to keep in mind when you're having a descriptive conversation is you want to be mindful of your body language. 80% of communication is nonverbal. So that means people are only paying attention to what you say. That only counts for 20% of what they hear in your conversation. Most of what they're hearing is how you are physically interacting with them. So you want to take time to assess yourself, check in throughout the conversation, and look at your body language. Are your arms folded? Is your face furrowed? If you notice it is, immediately relax. Open up your body. Have your arms by your side. Relax your face, right? If you don't really feel like you can get a smile going, just try to relax your cheeks and have warm eyes. Lean in. Let the other person know you're listening to them. You value them. You value their perspective and their opinion. So if you can communicate with your body language that you are open and willing to value and respect what the other person is saying, that will take you a long way towards having a productive problem-solving conversation. So let me share with you the last helpful tip for having a productive descriptive conversation. You ready? Avoid absolutes. Never say never. See, I just said absolute. But seriously, do not get in the habit of saying this is how it always is, it's how it's always been, it's how it's always will be. What you are feeling is one moment in a long series of experiences and interactions you've had with that person. So even when you're talking with them, even if in this moment what you're saying is true, it does not mean that it has to be true for the next moment and the moments to follow that. So when you speak in absolute, you actually lock yourself in that person into this current stage that you're in. And you know this moment isn't pleasant. That's why you're having the conversation. You want to create the opportunity for something better. And so the way that you do that is to not lock yourselves into this moment with absolutes, but to remind yourself this is only one moment. And the way that I handle this moment can either limit or expand the opportunities for our next moments together. So I'm having this descriptive conversation because I want to create opportunities in the future for moments that are better and more enjoyable than this moment. And so I'm going to be mindful and not make absolutes that lock us into that. Okay, you got We all want to have healthy relationships, and it's my goal to provide you with some practical tools that'll help you do just that. I'm Dr. Keisha Moore of Life in Focus Coaching, and I'm wishing you a life full of meaning, purpose, and joy. Have a good day.